Hi, my name is Wissam Gamra. I'm 20 years old and I'm the very first Tunisian to come to Yale. I come from a family of 6 people. My dad, my mom, my 2 younger sisters and one younger brother. I lived my whole life in Tunisia until I was 18. And I used to go to a public high school, Lycée Pilote de Sousse. I went to public school my whole life. It's a very good system back home. It's very language based. We start learning Arabic starting from first grade, and then we go to French third grade, and then we started learning English in fifth grade. And then in grade 12, we start learning a new language. I didn't finish my 12th grade. I actually didn't even finish high school at all. So it was around April 2012. I used to take classes in Amidis, which is an American school. I was done with my class in the afternoon and I was waiting for my mom to come pick me up, and she was late. So my teacher comes in to the class and tells us about a guy named El Mahdi Oumih, who came in to talk about his school that is based in South Africa. He brought us in and he told us about this amazing school called the African Leadership Academy. The way that he phrased it was that it's one of the very few ways to get to the US. However, the actual mission of the school is to develop the next generation of African leaders. Their goal is to develop 6,000 leaders in the next 50 years. So this school brings 100 students every year from all around the continent, the 54 countries, to study entrepreneurial leadership and African studies. So we had to submit the application by 10 p.m. and it was already 5 p.m. when I got back home. And it was a very weird application. One of the questions was, if you were to write an autobiography about yourself that is 400 pages long, what would you write on the page 329? I thought, let me just give it a shot. It wouldn't even work. I'm not sure that it would work, so let me just apply. I wouldn't lose anything. On the 22nd of May, I received an email saying that I am a finalist for the African Leadership Academy to actually be tested and have interviews and have group activities. I went to the finalist weekend and it was fun. I met lots of cool people. By the 15th of June, I hear back from the school telling me that I got in. Okay, so my mom tells me that I'm not going anywhere because not only the school is 5 years old, but also I didn't finish high school. So if I were to leave by that time, given the education system in Tunisia in general, I would be considered as a high school dropout, which is funny because that's what I'm considered right now in Tunisia. But then we looked into the school even further and we talked to two students from Tunisia who actually went to the school before me. They actually have managed to convince my mom to let me go and to go to South Africa. I get to ALA. It was an awesome place. When I first got there, I found a notice on the door written Marhaban, which is basically hi in Arabic, and it made me feel very, very great. People over there are generally nice. I actually made my best friends at ALA. Kudzai Pastor Mopasiri, he goes to Amherst right now. Diana Esmat from Egypt, she goes to UT Austin, and Fatima, she's from Morocco, she goes to Yale in US in Singapore. And so many other people. Though, we were only 200, everybody knew everybody, and it felt great. On the 28th of March, I was with a couple of friends in my room, and I received an email. I got into Yale, and that was one of the happiest moments in my life. So yeah, I go back home during the summer and I received this phone call. This lady calls me and she says that she's from the presidential palace and she invites me to get a certificate because it turns out that I am the very first Tunisian to get into Yale. I didn't believe it. I go to the palace and it was the education day in Tunisia. Usually on that day, every year, the very first, the highest grade in every baccalaureate section gets a certificate. And I was amongst those people. And it was funny because when I think about it, I'm still a high school dropout. And still, I made it. And it was a great feeling, getting the certificate, shaking the president's hand. Even though he's no longer president right now, but still. On the 22nd of August, 2014, I boarded a plane to the US, and here I am. The very, very first community I found myself drawn into when I first got here was the African community, the Yale African Student Association. even though I would feel like very comfortable in Yasa meetings and with Yasa people, I would still feel kind of marginalized in terms of the meetings because we'd never bring up any issues about North Africa or Tunisia. North Africa in general, for some reason, is not really perceived as part of the African continent. Things like this makes me feel like maybe, I mean, I like the people, but it's not maybe the perfect place to be, right? Maybe there's another place, and maybe I should explore other options. That brought me to going to join the Arab Association. I still found the same problem because I remember once I was sitting with a couple of Saudi people, and we were talking about the different dialects, and they were arguing how we Tunisians don't speak Arabic at all because our dialect mixes French and Arabic, so we wouldn't be able to understand each other.
If I want to say كيف حالك, how are you? كيف حالك is in standard Arabic, how are you? Or كيف حالك if I'm talking with a female. Now if I'm Palestinian, I would say كيف حالك. If I'm Egyptian, I would say إزيك. If I'm Lebanese, I would say كيفك. What would a Tunisian say? I don't know. Tunisian Arabic is really hard.
You feel like you really want to fit in. You feel like that need to identify with a group, but then you still try, but then you just don't feel that it's the perfect fit. So I started spending a lot of time in my room. Started somehow missing the old days at ALA with all the friends, and I would talk to them. I would Skype them most of the time. And then little by little, I had like this thought growing in my head: what if I were to die right now? What would happen? Who would even know that I'm dead? Who would discover my body? So I came up with this theory that it would take people 7 days to realize that I'm actually that something wrong happened. And every time I think about that, it really scares the hell out of me because it just makes you think how alone it can get. 7 days without technically no one texting to just say, how are you? I had this conversation with a friend. I texted him and I asked him, how are you doing today? And then he's like, sorry, I changed my phone, who is this? And I was like, guess. And he's like, Wissam. I was like, how did you guess? He's like, how are you is such an undermined sentence over here. At least that's how he felt. And like, it's very rare that people would ask him, at least. That made me think about the 7-day theory again, because even if I were to be alive and just close my door and stay in my room, no one would actually just text me to say, how are you? I mean, solitude and death, because, okay, I guess everybody on earth wants to leave their print somewhere, somehow. And like, the worst thing is like when you die, no one notices that you're dead. So I guess if I were to link death and solitude, it's because of that. Like, people would spend 7 days without noticing that I'm not there. Then I really didn't do anything much. The fact that it went from 7 to 3 or 2 days is not really, it's still sad because you would still be unnoticed for 2 days, but it's still better than 7. And my hope is that since it went down by 4 to 5 days, it would at some point end up being 0.